Mm-hmm.
So Joel Brooks, one of my favorite men on the planet, dear friend for a long time. We co-authored a book together. Remember that? Oh my goodness. That's been a while.
Yeah.
What women don't know and men don't tell you. And I got to tell you, even though I was writing, I was learning a lot from Joel's perspective. It's always good to have the men. And, you know, one of the first things that I learned is that women don't think like men. And so if you want to understand a man, don't ask one of your women friends, ask a male friend. That's why platonic relationships with males, opposite sex, is important. It is critical to you learning how to navigate through relationships, because otherwise you'll have a skewed vision on how the relationship is going and it won't be so successful. So Joel, thanks for taking time out to talk to me today about this. I wanted to do something different. Yes, I'm telling you. And you know, with it being a Valentine's Day month, you know, it always magnifies for singles a lot of drama and trauma. And I know that we'll have some married people watching too, so we can just, you know, generalize so that everyone gets something out of what we're talking about. But I wanted to talk about commitment because it seems to be a lost art. You mentioned when we did MMH Hangout that there are more people just living together than ever before. So I wanted you to kind of break down the mentality of that and make women understand that men only do what they have to do. So if you settle for him living in your house, that's what you'll get. So with that understanding in mind, can you explain to us a man's mindset about marriage and living together, and how a woman gets him from just hanging out with her to committing to marriage?
Right. Well, I mean, let's think about what a marriage is. A marriage is two people living together, having kids, working, and building something together. In other words, the only reason to be together is that you're building something. Okay. And so how do you build if you're not committed? Okay. You know, and so for a woman has to decide if she wants an experience or if she wants a legacy. Okay. If I just want to have sex, you don't have to live with nobody to do that. Okay. Why are you living with them? Is it cheaper? And so you have to ask yourself some of those end game questions so that you'll wind up at the right place. Okay. I'm sure there's highways that you can take, and as you progress on the highway, you know what cities you're gonna hit. Okay. And you can see somebody maybe at a gas station or something and say, hey, where are you going? Well, I'm going to such and such. But aren't you traveling north on this highway? Yeah. They said, well, that won't get you there. You're going the wrong way. You need to turn around. Well, you know, I'm enjoying the ride and it's nice scenery. Oh, okay, well, if you just want a scenic drive, you know what I'm saying? But that's not going to get you where you're going. Okay. And so destiny determines path. If I don't have a destiny, then everything's optional. I can stop any place. I can stay overnight. You know what I'm saying? If I have no destiny. And so when it comes down to choices, my destiny, my goal, end game decides my choices. My choices are pre-laid out if I know where I'm going. Okay. And so, but if I don't know what I'm doing, or if I'm thinking a wrong route will get me to the destiny, then I'm going to end up disappointed. I'm going to end up brokenhearted. See, and so I would rather be, I don't know, you know, somebody said it's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. And I'm like, that's some bull, man. That's
right.
I got some people I wish I never met. I wish I didn't even know they were on earth, you know, because the pain it wasn't worth the journey. You know, where I wound up with it, it wasn't that good, man. It just it hurts a lot longer than it feels good when things don't work out. See, and so living together and separating is practice for divorce. You know, every failed relationship you have, I think, increases your chance that the next one will fail.
Wow.
And so, and so So what is it you want? That's the big question for me, for women. I know what men want. Men want family. Okay, men. I mean, if you look at when a couple divorces, the man gets married a lot quicker than the woman typically. Okay, because men want family. But the thing that haunts a man is, what if something better was coming? Okay, what if I married too quick? What if I married and then she walks through the door of my church, or she walks into my office, the one that I was really meant to be, which is a whole nother deal of meant to be.
But so can I interject a question there then? So does that mean that the person that you actually married, you don't feel like that was the one? Why would you still have an expectation of someone even better? Is there something missing?
Yeah, well, see, men are optional thinkers.
Okay.
I don't commit to anything until I have to. We wanted to buy what was it? A hockey game. It was at Sam's or someplace like that. And I said, just get it. I said, no, I haven't done my research yet. Okay. And by the time I finished my research, it was gone. Okay? So I knew which one was the best deal, but I didn't get any deal. And actually, the one that I would have bought would have been a really good deal. And so you want to make sure, men are concerned with price. It seems, and I don't want to get into trouble here, that women are concerned with uniqueness. Okay, that I'm the only one. Okay, whereas men are concerned with, what did this cost me? I don't want to pay more than somebody else did. You know what I'm saying? And so if there's one that's cheaper someplace, I feel like this place is trying to get me. So I have to do my research, because I don't want to be a chump. I want to make sure I got the best deal. I don't want to go to nobody's house and they got it for half the price. Okay. And so we're holding out, doing all the research to make sure we have the best deal. Okay. And so why wouldn't I marry you if I'm living with you? If I'm doing family with you, why would I not marry you? And it's because I'm not committed. That's the only reason I can come up with. And you've heard me do the rundown. Men say, well, what's a piece of paper going to do? What's but yet you have a driver's license, your car has a title, dog has a license, everything got paper but you. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because you're the only one that doesn't insist on having it. That makes sense. I can't legally drive without a license. My car is not legal if I don't have a title to it. And so I don't want to be held accountable. And so I'll say, I know you love me. I know you want the experience. I know you don't want to lose me. So I'll play all those cards to keep from committing. You're afraid to insist that I commit because you may lose me, when actually that's the test of whether or not the person really is really committed. And sometimes people have to be without you in order to realize how much you mean to them.
Yeah.
And so when you say, okay, that's it. And so you have to be ready to face reality. If you're sleeping with somebody, especially as a woman, you really want to know that person is committed to you. Okay. Because we get tired of people. People can get tired of each other. And you don't want to hit that stage and you're not committed, because you're not going to work through it.
Yeah.
See, deep love is on the other side of that trouble, that trouble spot that you hit in a marriage. Okay. Deep, covenant, committed love. I was looking at Ron the other day and I said, man, we've been through a lot. In our little 17 years, we have been through a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's something about people who've been to war together, if you know what I mean. It's something about those old guys, man, who get together every year, pour out a little for the homies that's not there, But they went through war together. They shed blood together. They went through something together. And that's what makes a relationship deep, not the beauty, not the attraction. That's great. But it's that we've been through stuff together. We've been in emergency
weathered that storm.
We've been through funerals together. We've been, depending on what you've gone through with your children, and children can take you on a ride, man, and so covenant, God is a genius, and we don't think about God as a genius. but God is really smart. Okay.
He is. He
Yeah, and
is.
covenant is the only safe context for intimacy.
Mm.
Okay, it's the only safe context, even among friends, man. I'm telling you my secrets, then you get mad at me and you take my stuff out in the street.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And so God is a God, God honors covenant. And so covenant is the only safe context for intimacy because covenant guarantees I won't be rejected. And a human being will never let you see all of them if there's a possibility it would cause them to be rejected. Okay? And so people think, well, we're married. I mean, I know you've heard this. Okay, we lived together for 3 years happily. We got married, and all of a sudden everything went crazy. That's because you finally met the real them. There was a preacher that you know from Chicago, and he said, man, all of a sudden my wife just started talking back to me. Things, you know, and I looked at her and I said, what's wrong with you? What's going on with you? And she said, I finally realized you wouldn't leave me.
Wow.
So this was the first time she was actually herself in the whole time that they have been together. Well, somebody said, well, I'd rather have the one that's not talking back. See, so then that means you want a Stepford wife. You want somebody who gives you the right responses, but you don't want their heart. You see what I'm saying? If you want somebody's heart, man, you want the real them. That's why I say God doesn't want my religious me. He doesn't want my pretend like Christian. He wants the real me. And so I told God, I said, God, I hate these people. I want to kill them. I want to take somebody's life. I've actually told him before. And because he already knew it. You know, who am I fooling? You know, and have the conversation with him so he can help you out. So he can help you out of that space. Rather than, you know, what they say, what's buried alive stays alive. Rather than walk around with this hostility and you're cordial pretending like you're Christian, you know, and so I want the real you. I want your hurt. I want what you've been through. I want your story. Anybody that doesn't respect your story doesn't love you. Yeah. You know, and so I want the real you. I want the genuine you. I don't want a fake marriage. I don't want an imitation marriage. I don't want a marriage where I control you with my threat to leave. See, because you will never exhale. You will never just rest. And it's impossible to give a woman the rest that she needs in her life without marrying her. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
What does commitment do? It allows you to build.
Yes.
Okay? So let's say, and this happened to me in building and renovation of our church. Okay, so you go to build, you make a contract, you have a contract, and it lines out, it spells the specifics of everything, time, and all that stuff. And then let's say oil prices go up or copper prices go up. And now this is going to cost this guy more than what he thought. Okay? Mm-hmm. But you don't know everything going into a project. And so he says, man, I'm losing money on this thing. I'm out. Yeah, but you have a contract. If you are a person of integrity, like Psalms, I think it's 55 says, you'll swear to your own hurt and change not.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what allows you to build. I don't know what my marriage is going to cost me. You know, I'm a big believer in healer and being healing and God's will, being good and everything, but you don't know what you have to go through. I might have to push you around in a wheelchair. You might have to push me around in a wheelchair for a period of time or whatever. We don't know what's going to happen. We may have to scale down. The economy may get weird. And so you don't know what's going through, but in order to build, in order to say, this is what we're going to have a family, this is going to be our vision. We're committed. I don't care who comes along. I don't care how pretty, how talented they are, or how handsome they are. We are starting our family now. We're building something. I'm committed to you. And to me, that's where romance is, not where, okay, is she for me? Is this the right one for me? You know, religious people think that's romantic, but that doesn't sound fun. I'd rather pick my own wife, you know, and commit to my own wife than being stuck with somebody. And I'm looking at you, you know what I'm saying? That's like the most ridiculous show on TV is Married at First Sight. You know,
oh my goodness.
You know,
yeah.
Are you serious? That's not a marriage. Please, come on. because I want to do the math, and I want to make sure this thing's going to work. That's what dating is about. Is like you said, a long interview. You were going to say something. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I'm going to ask you about that because how do you know that it's the right person, and how do we not over spiritualize and apply ourselves practically? I find that a lot of Christians are not critical thinkers. You're just woo up in the sky. And there has to be a balance in this. The word says first natural, then spiritual. So God takes all of that into account. I think one of the most damaging deceptions in Christendom is the Lord told me he's my husband. Where does that come from? And how do you recognize that it's a deception versus the voice of God? I mean, some cases, I know like 3 people who God told them that was their husband, and it really was. And everybody else, it was just a disaster that went on for endless amounts of time before people got tired. So can you address that?
Absolutely. See, romance to me is a matter of choice. It's like God chose me. God didn't have to be stuck with me. He chose me. And spirit of adoption, if that makes sense. And so now, and he's committed, I'll never leave or forsake you. And so Yvonne and I have adopted, and adoption rights are stronger than birth rights. I can inherit my children, but I can't disinherit the ones I adopted. You can't legally do it, and you've been adopted, and I've been adopted.
Yeah,
God can't inherit us. You know what I'm saying? That's good news.
Wow, that's amazing. I never knew that.
But it's the romance in a marriage is what could be. It's when you're around somebody and you're in their presence, and you start imagining what could be. Okay, what could we have together? What would life be like with this person on a daily basis? Okay, and so you begin to think about that, and that becomes the vision, but you think it's reality now, and then you get married and you don't have that. Well, it's because that what you were imagining is at the end of a process of growing and maturing and committing and all those things. And so there's just something about it, man. I've been pastoring for about 33 years, but there's just something about the people who've been there the whole time, through my divorce, through my insecurities when they knew something was wrong with me, but they stayed and was able to get enough word to continue. But it's just something about being committed. It's just something that there's a beauty to just giving your life to someone. See, and so a commitment protects you from self-interest. Okay, and self-interest is what kills everything. I think I mentioned the other day the show. I saw it yesterday. One of my favorite shows is Unsung, because all these groups whose music meant so much to you over the years, you find out why they disappeared. And it was always self-interest. It was always you get money for writing. I'm not getting any money. And rather than realize, man, this is something that's happening to a group, and we should be looking out for one another. They let it go based on self-interest, and you never hear from any of them.
Those people again,
yeah. See, and so covenant protects you from self-interest, and so covenant is based on sacrifice. Okay, Ed Cole gave me the definition of love. That love is a willingness to benefit others at your own expense. Okay, lust is the desire to benefit yourself at others' expense. So a living together situation can be based on lust. Okay, what you do for me. I mean, I've heard guys say, "Man, I'm looking for a woman with insurance. I'm looking for somebody got a job with her. I need to get my teeth fixed. And so people can be with people for a bunch of different reasons. See. But the reason should be, I want to bless you. I want to make your life better than it was before I came along. Even if you're rich, if I'm not having to bring money to the table, I am going to make your life better than it was before you met me. And so I'm here to make things better. You're here in my life to make things better. And so we should trip over each other trying to serve one another.
Yeah.
Rather than Well, I ain't signed up for this. That's the one you hear nowadays. I ain't
Yeah,
signed up
yeah.
for this. I'm having to help. She's bedfast, and I'm having to, go in there. I ain't no nurse, and I'm like, but you're in covenant, So in covenant, you do what's necessary,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people should put up with just anything. I didn't put up with just anything. I've been divorced, and it can, you can go too far. There's some stuff I can't give you. I can't give you sanity, know, and just because of your choices, and so, but commitment allows you to build, and so at some point, not the first date, but at some point, the man needs to know, man, I want to be married, I want to have children. I believe there's, I may not have forever for that, and so, what are your plans, man? Where is this? What do you think about? When you think about me, what do you think about? Okay, because I think about how you might fit into my future, and so I'm thinking that you need to know I'm out there. You know what I'm saying? And so where are you? Because this is not going to go on forever. You don't have forever to make up your mind about me, because I want to be wanted. I want somebody who, would break through a concrete wall for me, not somebody who's sitting and waiting to get a sign or something. And so for me, I don't talk about God putting people together. I talk about God approving it. Okay. Green lighting it. Okay. That's a huge decision. And so I want God to green light it. And I want my friends who love me, who are balanced, to approve of it. Okay. Yeah. Any friend, good friend that raises their eyebrows, and I know they're not dealing with envy or jealousy or something, but they say, man, we don't know. Yeah. Then I'm not going to end it, but I'm going to question it. I'm going to go to God about it again and say, God, this thing is not producing peace in my life. This thing is starting wars in my life. And these people have wars in their heart about me. You know what I'm saying? Or is this legitimate reason for caution? That makes sense.
That's really good, because I had a friend some time back that got married to this lady, and when I heard about him getting ready to marry, I said, I don't think he should marry that woman.
Right.
But then I never said anything because I kind of had a crush on him. So I said, maybe it's a bad, there's a bad agenda that I've got, and I'm, feeding off of that. So I never said anything. And we continued to be friends. They got married. I met her. I liked her. We hung out together. And then one day I called him and he called me back and said, we're not together anymore. And I was like, what? It was just like the craziest. She left him. She just left him, had an affair with a younger guy, said she wasn't happy, packed up her stuff. She told him one day, and 2 days later, she had the truck there moving her stuff out. So she had been planning this for a while. And I was so shocked. And I admitted to him, I said, well, I've been a horrible friend, because I really felt that I should have told you I did not get a good feeling about you marrying her. But then later, I spoke to another close friend of his who told me, I told him not to marry her. I said, get out of here. So it wasn't like, people didn't tell him, but he was already on that trajectory. And it didn't work. It didn't end well. So I think that talking with your friends is critical. I've had two other friends that I've told them, I don't think you should marry this person. They did listen and later found out why they shouldn't marry that person. It wasn't apparent at the time. One of them was mad at me and didn't speak to me for like 6 months. But at the end, I was right, So I think sometimes we have to take that risk with our friends. Some of them will go ahead anyway. But if you're really seeking wisdom, you will listen to those that are balanced in your life, who love you and don't have a personal agenda. Right.
And it's and part of what makes romance what it is that it's risky. That you can never get certainty. You can never just make, there's nothing that guarantees, people are not going to change. You have guys who have lived as Christians and they have integrity and all that, and they get 40 and think they're cute, and couple women, men, we get more value as we get older, and so he realized he got options, whereas as a 20-year-old corny nerd Christian, he didn't have options, and now he has options, and so he wants to rethink all this, and people are giving him opportunities that he never had, and so you just never know. It's a matter of integrity. It's a matter of keeping your word, that I'm committed. I'm a person who keeps my word. I have integrity. I'm whole. I don't ask myself. I've never once asked myself if I'm married the right one. Okay, because I'm married. What am I going to do? What if it's what if a no comes? There's some things that I never ask myself. It's not healthy, And so to me, the romance is that I wanted the pearl, the treasure, so I bought the land. Okay? Got me? I'm not sure what all is on the land. Yeah. Okay. But to try to get the treasure without getting the land is that's not the way it works. Yeah. You find the treasure, you hide it, you go purchase the land, and now the treasure is yours because you purchased the land. You don't know what comes with something. There's no way to know what comes with a decision, and so that's why you commit on the front end. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So where do you think that whole deception of God told me this person was my husband comes from? What's the root of that, and how do you recognize?
Well, the first is that they're trying to close the deal. I mean, I've been to conferences that were held by popular singles ministers. I mean, these guys are single, and so they're doing a conference. It may not be a singles conference, but they're doing a conference, and they happen to be single. And every single woman there has heard that he's her husband. Yeah. Everyone, hundreds have heard it. And I'm like, okay, why would God tell you something you can't do? Okay, why would God tell me something is mine when I can't pursue it? Okay, why tease me like that? See, but I think we have a hard time sorting with desire and God's actual voice. I think.
Can you say that again? Sorting what?
Sorting out what we want and what God is saying. Okay, I can't tell you the number of things that I thought I was supposed to do, set them in motion, and found out they weren't God. This is where we get the term Ishmael from. Something that he birthed that he didn't birth. You see it. And the nature of that thing that we birth torments the thing that he does birth. It's the nature of it. See what I'm saying? Rich. Yeah. So an Ishmael marriage is going to torment your destiny. An Ishmael business, a business that God didn't tell you to start, is going to fight your career. See? And so, and it's not that we should be hesitant to do anything or start things. We get new mercy every morning. So I'm not talking about living scared. I'm just talking about living honest. The word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword, dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow, and the thoughts and the intents of the heart. And so I take it to God and I say, okay, God, because I've been betrayed a few times, but it was always when part of me wasn't right. That's how I got pulled into it. Yeah, okay? Yeah. And God says, well, this is what you were trying to do. You were trying to get your own approval with people who didn't like you because you were tired of them not liking you. And so you trust people who never had a heart. And when they stabbed you in the back, that's how you gave them an opening to do that. And so, who was it? Mario Murillo said, of all the hearts I distrust, I'm more suspicious of my own, more so than anybody else. Okay? So we know what we can do. We know we can manipulate. We know we can think through things. We can justify ourselves. And so when it comes to things, I don't live in self-doubt. I don't want to give you that impression, but I do. I know that I can be off, man. I can be weird, and I think that's how some people get off with the prophetic. That they want something so bad that they see it and they start to speak in it. When it was just something they wanted. It was just something out of their desire, and not that they're false prophets. They're just human. We get off,
Mm-hmm.
And I think they told David one time, do all that's in your heart. Just go on and build, go on and build God's house. Do everything in his heart. And God pulled him back and said, no, he's not the one to build my house.
Mm.
The guy, you got to come back with the remix,
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, God said, not that you're not, you got blood on your hands. You can't do this,
Mm-hmm.
And so we miss it. Let's be honest when we miss it, and let's allow God to correct us. See, but being married is a choice. Now, there's obviously people that we shouldn't marry. They're not good marriage material. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
and so you just don't want to take. How can I say it? I believe in your future, but I invest in your history.
Mm.
Okay. And so I don't get married on hope. I don't get married on dreams. I get, people tend to do what people have been doing.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm looking at your patterns. Okay.
Yeah.
And if your pattern, you got a series of broken hearts in your history, why would I trust you with mine?
Mm.
If you had a series of fraudulent money dealings, I wouldn't give you my money.
Yeah.
And so people tend to do what people do. And that's the whole concept that we did that behind is what women don't know and men don't tell you. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because a woman will invest in a man's promise.
Mm.
Even if he just shared it over coffee. You never,
Wow.
no victories, nothing up until now, but this is what I want to do. People just haven't really supported me. I haven't had the support. You know what Ike Turner said? I never had the support of my women. Well, that's hard to do with a black eye. It's hard to do when I'm trying to find my teeth to put them back in to support your vision. But that's the way men are. Women listen to that and they romanticize that stuff. And one of the things that I love, because I'm doing some studying on worship, is that the whole idea of romance means unreal, fantasy. Okay, the whole concept of romance is that it's not really real. Okay, and so and that's why we need, what would I say, exaggeration to explain it. Okay, I'll swim the widest ocean, the deepest sea, I'll climb the highest mountain. No, you won't. Okay, but I'm trying to explain something that I don't have words for. Even God doesn't. See, the thing with God is nothing is impossible to him. And so God is where romance and reality meet. See, you understand what I'm saying? So he looks at this messed up life and he has a romantic attitude towards it because he knows what he can do with it in his hand. You see what I'm saying? In other words, I can actually do the impossible. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but the guy
He's the only one. Yeah.
He's the only one. But when I'm talking romantically, I'm talking from what could be. And so I don't have a way to say it. And so I have this little skit I wrote where the guy is like, oh man, this couple is talking and they're hundreds of miles apart. And he says, I would walk to see you. I would swim. I would climb the high. And she just gets overwhelmed. And she says, come to me, my love. Just come right now. And then he says, huh? Huh? What you talking about? No, come right now. I was talking.
I was just rapping.
Yeah. But that's what romance is. And so in order to express it, we need a whole nother, so God says, as the sand is on the seashore, so are my thoughts about you. You know what I mean? And all this stuff, and to give you a future and a hope. My thoughts about you are good, thoughts of peace and not of evil. And so God gives us all of these bigger than life promises, but he can actually do them.
Do them. Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's glorious.
So that's where reality and romance meet, is what worship is about. Is I worship you because, you can really do all things. You can really, you can change anything. You can take my little messed up life and make something out of it. And so romance in its nature is unreal. And that's what we have to that's what we have to remember. is that you the only way you can follow it up is with a life. You understand what I'm saying? You know, I can't let you talk to me in that way, and you're not committed to me, man, because you're taking me for a ride. You know, well, those words are beautiful, man. I've been waiting for somebody to feel like that about me all my life. You know, besides my mom and daddy. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's just loves me because I'm here and they're with me. No matter what I go through, they're gonna walk through it with me. We're gonna walk this stuff together. And to me, that's where romance is. Not that God put us together. See, and a lot of it from the fallacy. I've got a series that you might be interested in called "Killing Sacred Cows." The people say, "Well, God is in control," and no, He's not. God is not in control. You know, matter of fact, I believe God gets His will very little of the time. I believe most of the time God is like, man, I meant to give them better. I meant for that to be better, but they just wouldn't do it.
Moved out of position.
They wouldn't listen. They wouldn't wait. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's like I don't believe He gets His will much of the time, and so we want to believe that everything that happens is God's will, and that that God put us together. And it's funny how random it is we get put together. I mean, I'm in a car one day talking to some pastors, and they said, "Well, man, we got somebody. We'll think about you getting married. You need to get married." And so they put a name in front of me, and I put it on the side, and I called about 2 months later, and you know what I'm saying. And when we talked, the magic happened, and so. It's funny how if I hadn't gone to the mall, if I hadn't gone to this meeting, or if this friend and I hadn't happened to talk this day and this person's name came up. I mean, come on, man, this stuff is a lot more random than we want to think. Sure. And I believe God is involved. I believe He's involved with setting that stuff up, but I don't think He's in control. I think
because He gives us free will, so we get to pick.
Absolutely. I think there's thousands of people you can marry and have varying degrees of happiness with.
Okay. So there's no one person. There's somebody that could be better for you, but there's no one person. You can make it work with several people, right?
Yeah, I think your maturity has something to do with it. And I have seen people supernaturally get together. I know this one guy who God told him, stand here and wait, your wife is about to come. He told the woman, your husband is standing at the top of this auditorium waiting for you. And it was that supernatural. They got divorced. So what do you say? You know, what do you say about that stuff? You want to own it. I want to own my commitment to my wife. I don't want to spiritualize it and say, well, God put us together. So God put you together with somebody maybe you don't get along with. So is that what you're saying? And it really gets weird when you look at the kids, because you have kids. And so, okay, well, if this is the wrong person, then God didn't want me to have these kids, and so there's just some stuff that's just too hard to, like, you can't unscramble eggs. It's like it's too. I don't think about that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It just, all it does is torment you. What if I had married them? What if I had married this one? But that's all that is. All that does is frustrate you, because I'm going to rehearse a much cleaner ending than maybe I would have gotten. When we think about marrying somebody, we think about bad breath. We don't think about sickness and disease. We don't think about loss of job or all of the things that could happen. We don't factor that stuff in. See, and so basically it boils down to how do you feel in their presence on an everyday basis? Okay, how do they make your dreams bigger when you talk to them? Or do your dreams seem further out of reach? Do you feel closer to God around them, or do you feel like God might be hindering what I really want to do? It's so there's a lot of things like that. I think you and I have shared. What was it, Mike Murdoch's 31 things to ask yourself about somebody you want to be with? And so there's a lot. Remember that? There's a lot of things that should give you pause. But the bottom line is you want to make a decision and you want to own your decision. You want to be a man or a woman about it and say, this is my decision, and I'm not going to go through the torment of creating somebody they can't compete with in my head.
Woo!
If that makes sense.
Yes, that's huge.
Yeah, yeah. Because if my wife is dreaming about another guy, I can't compete with him. You
That's
know,
true.
and I'm not supposed to be in competition mode. I'm not supposed to even be thinking like that. I'm supposed to be myself, my best self. I'm supposed to serve. I'm supposed to love, put the other person before me, all those kinds of things. And so, but I can't compete with your imaginary husband.
Oh my goodness. Let's talk about intimacy and
Okay.
why intimacy needs to be in the right place. The damage that gets done,
Yeah.
the beauty that it can be when we do it within the context of how God prescribed it.
Right. Right. How can I say it? I think I said this in the beginning. Covenant is the only safe contextual setting for intimacy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I believe being naked is different from being nude. Okay. Being naked is seen as I am. Okay. Yeah. And so if I'm intimate with somebody, but I'm not allowing them to see me, then it's like I have I don't know if I want to say this way or not. It's like a prophylactic to real intimacy.
Yeah.
In other words, you got naked strangers. We're not really allowing the intimacy to serve what it's supposed to serve. See what I'm saying? Because it's supposed to enhance intimacy. Sex in itself is just physical intimacy, but it's supposed to enhance spirit, soul, and body. It's supposed to grow the whole relationship. Okay. Which is why it's so dangerous to do it without a commitment. Because I've given myself to this person. They know my strengths, they know my weaknesses, all these things. And so if I'm in a relationship that's not committed, sex is still performance. Okay. I'm trying to perform. So then what does that mean? That makes it an act. Okay. So how do we get the mask off and actually be intimate and without fear? So that's the whole idea of pornography, is intimacy without the fear of rejection. Okay? So real love, real intimacy, it involves risk. Okay. And what people try to do is minimize the risk by not being committed. And so, maybe if I can pay for sex, well, hey, if I pay for it, they're gonna put on an act because they want the money. And so I'll leave feeling however I feel. So that's like the lowest level of it. And that's why I hate it when they say, well, wives are prostitutes. Come on, man. That's a really crass way of looking at it, even though we know that some of that stuff is transactional, but it's actually more transformational than it is. Because if sex was the reason people got married and sex was so great, why is the divorce rate so high? So the intimacy, physical intimacy, is often challenged in that state. Because I know more about each other, and rather than forgive and release, we hold things, and it becomes this wall, and the intimacy is gone. See, and so mature, loving people. 1 Corinthians 13 connects love with maturity. Okay. And so if I'm a mature person, I'm a loving person. Okay. Meaning I'm a sacrificial person. I don't mind sacrifice. Okay. And so if I'm an immature person, I don't want nothing to cost me nothing. Especially the next woman that comes along. Because that's a sacrifice. See? So the next woman that comes along, she's maybe younger, or she's prettier, or the guy is younger and more handsome. And so now why should I sacrifice that? Why should I be without that just because I'm with you? See what I'm saying? And that's the way people think. And so, and the heart can justify anything it wants to do. And so, my friend came over in a brand new car. My car is paid off. It's got a couple issues, but my car is working just fine. But when I get in my friend's car, now I'm saying, man, that car is just not doing it for me. So what I do, I go get in debt. I buy a car, And when somebody's riding away in my car, I realized that car was performing just fine.
Yeah.
I didn't even need to go through what I went through. You understand what I'm saying? You have buyer's remorse. And so, but my mind can make anything that my heart wants, make it make sense.
That's so true.
Yeah. See, and so that's why we have to know, we have to be able to think straight and say, wait a minute, you know what? When I drove over here, my car was okay. Now I see his car and my car is not okay. That's just the lust of the eyes.
Yeah.
I just want something because I want it, when really my car is serving me just fine. See, and so I think people, they don't understand, and how can I say it? All the sex partners people have, man, we got to get that stuff out of our system, because everybody has something that the next one doesn't have. See,
that's true.
And so what you're doing is you're competing with this composite person they got in their mind. Well, Susie had this, Shirley had this, and it might. That's why the fewer people you've had sex with, the easier it is to be happily married sexually. I know most women don't want a virgin. Most women, Christian women I meet, they say, well, I don't want somebody with no experience. And I asked them, I said, so making love to this woman is just like making love to you. You just like her. I said, there's no way somebody can practice making love to you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because this is a whole nother person. You know? And what
who has different preferences.
Yeah. What sends one person through the roof would turn somebody else off.
Yeah.
See? And so to insist that a man already knows what he's doing when he comes into the relationship is to say, I'm just like every other woman he's been with, and it's violation of me. And so I think there are qualities of a person that's able to listen. See, part of the problem is that we don't have a language for this in the church. And so we have
that's true.
Language. So a guy say, I want a woman in the daytime and a freak at night. Well, you want a 70s freak. You want a 60. You don't want a millennial, because they're coming out of all kind of different bags on you. You understand what I'm saying? Because evil has no limits. When you get on that track, and what you want is somebody who's free, who's uninhibited, who listens, who's sensitive, who will learn from you. Who will listen, observe you, and will learn from you. And so that's why a lot of these preconceived notions we have, a lot of times the guys women are attracted to aren't the guys that can make them happy. See, you learn how to do that stuff together. You talk, what did Bunny have? A university, something she had, where you study one another.
Yeah. She said that she spoke her husband's language. It was Franklish as opposed to English.
Yeah, right. And that's the deal. He is not developing roles, not developing, is negotiating. This is our strength. This is how we're going to approach life with what we have, with what God has given us. If the man can cook and the woman burns everything, then let the guy cook. Yeah. I've known guys who couldn't count to 10 hardly, but they're handling the checkbook. They're handling stuff when the wife could handle it great. And the lights not be off and the water still work. Because she was, and so this, we are a team, man. Let's figure out what we have and let's approach it this way. Let's approach it that way, rather than saying, well, I'm the man, I need to be the one making a living, and you married to Whitney Houston. You know what I'm saying? You got somebody that can earn $20 million a year at home. Yeah. Doing something you can pay somebody $30,000 a year to do. So that's crazy, man. But I think there's so many. Yeah. No, go ahead. I think we need to be, when we look at things practically, I think that's where the romance really is that, I've committed myself to life to this woman, no matter what comes. See, and so now you can break covenant. So I'm not saying you stuck to somebody, but that's the deal. Is the commitment is in there. Commitment and grace is being a gracious person. because 67% they say of all marriage problems cannot be solved. It's an issue of wiring.
Really?
Yeah, it's an issue of wiring. You know, I like to be around people. You don't like to be around people. I'm a messy. You know, you're a neat freak.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so that stuff, you actually have to, and you can develop coping skills. See, but I'll never be a neat, orderly person because I don't think that way. I don't function. I mean, I've had dreams that tell me that the closer I am to structure, the further I am away from home. Okay. So structure limits me to a point. Now everybody needs some structure. Okay. Yeah. But when I'm in a real structured environment, I'm not good. I need to flow. I need to be able to. So I have to build my staff that way. Okay. So in other words, I come up with a new idea every week. Okay. And so I need a staff that says, now, does that mean we're done with the old idea or we're going to do them at the same time? See what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh man, I forgot about the other thing. No, don't stop that. That's golden. Keep that going. But we're not going to be able to. Well, Pastor, we're not going to be able to do both. And they tell me no. And I tell them either you lazy or I submit to it. But what I'm saying is knowing that I'm wired this way, that I always underestimate the time and resources it takes to do something, then I give that part to somebody else. I give the execute. I'm really bad at execution. When we did the book, I just had to go rent a hotel room and
we almost got in the fight, Joe.
You know, it's like, Joe, where's the stuff? Where's the stuff going to be in? And so I think about 3 days before due date, I went to Pittsburgh, where Bishop Garlington is. I rented me a room, and I just I downed some kind of caffeine product. And I don't know what about the anointing and caffeine, but they work together. I haven't figured that out. But and that's how I came up with it. I had notes, you know, I always had stuff in my head I was jotting down, but it didn't come together until I just sat down and said, come on, boy, you got to do this. And so I need deadlines for that kind of stuff because I'm all over the place. And so you learn about yourself. I have a real office. I have a fake office. I have a real office where if the mayor comes over, that's where they come to. And then I have another one that's a mess, man. That's where I really work. That's what I really do. My creative stuff. Because I'm ADD, man. If you hide it, if you file it, it's gone. If I file something, it's gone forever. It'll never come back to my mind. I need stuff laid out so I can see everything. I need whiteboards. Ideally, my walls are whiteboards. So I can just write an idea and just, you know, and that's the way I flow. Okay, now your weaknesses can hurt you. Your weaknesses can abort your destiny. So it's not like you ignore them. But you have to manage them. You have to pitch it and make sure that this lack of structure is not hurting me. You know, because it has. It's hurt me in the past. And so, but it's wiring. And so it means accepting a person the way they are. You know, accepting a person and having grace and believing the best as far as their heart is concerned about their behavior. I mean, bad behavior is still bad behavior, right? It's still right, wrong is still wrong, but not filling in the blanks as to why they did it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You know, my
wife
said, boy, you see these shoes stacked up here in the floor. I actually didn't. Didn't see. You know, go on. What were you going to say?
I was going to say we end up assuming, and my mother always said, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. That's
pretty good.
I assume.
That's pretty good. That's a good one. I have to remember to use it at the appropriate time. But it's just that lack of knowledge. And so, you know, some of us will have stuff attributed to our heart. It wasn't a heart thing, man. It's a wiring thing. It was just how we do. It wasn't intentional. It's just, you know, it's just how we do things. There was a guy that he went to his boss and he was reporting this other guy. He said, man, all this guy does is sit and look out the window, man. That's all he does. And he said, well, you leave him alone because the last time he was in that mode, he made us $600,000. In other words, that's how he's wired. He's contemplative. Yeah. You know, and his ideas come when he's quiet, when he's alone, and when he's not doing anything. Yeah. And so now, if you don't know that, you say, "Man, this guy, because he doesn't look busy." you know,
Right.
and you said, this guy is, he's not doing nothing, get rid of him. And you just ship out the next big idea that's going to make your company loads of money, you know?
Yeah.
So respecting people's wiring, respecting how they, you know, that's a big deal now in the marketplace, is realizing that people are wired a certain way, and we got to cooperate with that if we're going to get our productivity out, you know? So, and for me, it's the same for marriage. It's just so easy to mess up. You know, I can probably think of hundreds, thousands of people who are just looking back and saying, man, if I just had been more patient, if I'd been more mature, more loving, we would have grown into something, you know. So, yep.
Wow. So, a faithful man who can find. Can men really be faithful?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. It's how can I say it? The only way you can have more than one woman is you're not deep into either one of them.
That's interesting.
Women. I mean, see, there's brand new love, and then there's fresh love. Okay. I probably sometime during the day have chicken. Okay. And it doesn't need to be brand new. It doesn't need to be a brand new meal. It just needs to be fresh. I don't want last week's chicken. You understand what I'm saying? And it's the same with love. There is a new love that takes a life of its own. And that love is made, I think is made so we can fall in love and we can commit during that period of time. So that's why you don't want to wait for a man to commit. You want him to be in that love high. You know what I'm saying? Because it's actually a scientific high when you fall in love. Okay? It can be quantified. And so you go through that, and the problem is people mistake that for real love, which is sacrificial in nature. Okay. And so this guy falls in love with you, and he's sacrificial. He's solving problems for you, but it's a state rather than a trait. It's because he's in this state of being in love with you. Okay. Well, that tends to lift at some point. Okay. Yeah. Now, when that comes, now I've got to go and do my first works over, as Revelation says. Okay.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? That means I have to do on purpose what came natural to being in love. I have to do now, as a matter of choice and priority, what I did when I was caught up and in love. And what happens is, if I do that, then I cultivate a new, deeper, richer love. But that's a mature love. That's a love that only mature people reach. And so if I'm immature, I'll take the caught up in you love, and then when that wears off, then I need some space. We need to see other people. We need to, why? Because now I need another fresh love, because I'm too immature to renew love.
Ooh.
Okay? I'm too immature to renew love. And so I have to fall in love. And so you can't fall in love with the same person over and over. Okay. And so now I need to fall in love. So now my secretary's there, or the lady, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so then when they say they can't be faithful, what they're saying is, I'm too immature to renew love with the person that I've chosen. So when they say that, because I've been hearing this from preachers lately, is that a man wasn't made to be with just one woman. And so now you are allowing lust to define your destiny.
Yeah.
Because lust is never satisfied. And so what you're saying is a man can't be satisfied, but love is easily satisfied. Love is not demanding. You know what I'm saying? And so, well, you know, I know one guy, he left a great woman because she wasn't freaky. And he'd been out there in the streets and stuff, and he said, man, she's just boring. I said, man, you're supposed to be the teacher, you know?
Yeah.
And he messed around and left a woman that's making deep six figures.
Wow.
I mean, she's a good looking woman. She's the mother of his kids, man, and somebody else is sitting on the lake.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody else is on yachts and stuff, and he's sitting back, just because he couldn't be satisfied because of lust. See, love is easily satisfied. Love can endure anything. It endures all things, man. And so when you just you have to have the right situation. You're not in love because who's going to have the right situation? Who has that much control over their life?
Yeah.
And so it's commitment, and then it's grace. Okay. I was going to pick up Yvonne from the airport one night, and she hates to come home to a messy house. Okay, so when she's out of town, she hates to come home. And so I'm getting ready to pick her up, and I'm realizing this house is a mess, man. I have jacked this place up. So I took the time to straighten up, and I was late picking her up as a result. Okay, so I get there, pull up, and she's like, everybody else's husband came to get them with flowers, you know what I'm saying? And you pulling up late, and it's just me and the guy vacuuming the airport, and she just assumed that I didn't care, that it wasn't important to me, when actually I was trying to serve her, and that was the reason I was late. Okay, late is still late. Okay, it's not like late is not late, but why was I late?
Why were you late? Yeah.
Why was I late? So when she got home and saw the house, she's like, "Oh, okay, I get it now." But we've learned to live. So we just have a sense of humor about wiring, about how the two of us are wired, and we just laugh the stuff off, and we develop coping skills, And when she mentions something to me, I don't get offended. She doesn't get offended, or I don't get offended. I just go clean it up. Bishop Arlington, he asked me one time, Michelle. He said, "Joel, I want you to call me back in an hour." I said, "Okay, Bishop, I'll call you." He said, "Joel, I really want you to call me back in an hour." I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it." He said, "Joel, take a sticky note and put it in the middle of your computer." And a week later, I'm still looking around this sticky note. It's up on my computer, and I haven't called him back. So I mean, I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't just diss him. It's just, man, I'm absent-minded that way. And so now the other side of that is the creativity, the spontaneity, the revelation, the insight, and I remember telling Yvonne, she said, "Where do you get all the stuff you preach?" I said, "Those times when I'm looking into space and you ask me where I am?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "That's when I'm getting them." I said, that's the downloads are coming, I said, "Oh, okay. So that makes sense now." Figuring it out, man. Figuring it out.
Yeah. Ooh, this has just been so good. So many rich nuggets. And I know that a lot singles and married people are going to be blessed by what you said. I mean, oh my goodness. Just this whole wiring thing and assumptions oh my gosh, the decisions that we make, and that, God is approving our decisions, not forcing us to make them. Is huge. I think that and it's amazing. Yeah, because the other thing that's so funny about when these women say, "God told me this person's my husband," is usually somebody that they really didn't like, and so it's like, what are you saying about God's taste? You're saying that God is hooking you up with somebody that you don't like. That's just crazy to me. So I wanted you to really elaborate on that, because I don't know where that comes from, but I think it's just another way the enemy plays with us.
It comes from being super spiritual. It comes from another sacred cow that I like killing. Is everything happens for a reason. I'm like, are you serious?
Really?
And what it is a new age. It's actually man, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It'll come to me in a second, but it's actually atheism. It's a new age concept where the universe is in control, and so universe. This happened, but the universe had another intention in it. And I'm like, no, bad stuff actually happens.
Yeah.
When people die, it's really a loss. It's real loss. It wasn't camouflage blessing. Now God can turn it into a blessing. He can take anything, any situation we have, and turn it into something positive and something good. Okay, He could do that, but He wasn't behind it.
Right. It's
You
like
know,
I remember in the height of, don't want to bring up politics, but in the height of all of that, I said this whole thing about prophecies. Just because someone prophesies something doesn't mean God likes it.
yeah,
The prophecy is just saying what will happen. I
yeah,
mean, Rachel weeping for her children, God didn't take delight in babies being slaughtered,
no,
but he foretold of it happening so
yeah,
that those who were there could position themselves to know how to deal
excellent.
with the situation.
Would
And
have been
I
time.
think that sometimes we don't understand. We
Yeah,
don't understand the moves of the spirit. We don't understand the purpose of spiritual movements, and
yeah,
so they become applied in very weird ways that makes God look bad in our eyes because we've made an assumption about His intentions towards us that's not true.
yeah. You could get into a lot of trouble with that. You can get
Yeah,
into
yeah,
a lot of trouble with that. I think
mhm,
people take themselves too serious.
yeah, yeah.
Let's have fun with this, man. We're not God. We hear from God. Hopefully, most of the time. There's times when we
Hmm.
don't, and when we
When we
don't,
don't, yeah,
we gotta apologize and tell people, "Oh man, that wasn't God," and people know because it
right,
didn't work. We're sitting there, they know it wasn't God, and so we have
right.
this way of justifying. Well, God was really saying, "No, man, you just missed it," you know.
Yeah,
And
just missed it.
you're
That's
human, and
okay.
we'll let you miss it. When it comes to prophecy, it's almost like it's supposed to be straight from the mind of God. Whereas, if I pray for 10 people with cancer and 2 of them get healed, I'm a hero.
Yeah,
But if I make 10 prophetic words and one of them turns out not to be true, then I'm demonic.
yeah, yeah.
We're
Stone
human.
him.
We're human, man. We miss it.
Yeah, yeah. And
Say,
I think too that we don't understand. We talk about false prophets. They were
yeah,
people that were deliberately
yeah,
falsely prophesying. It
yeah,
wasn't a prophet that got it right 99 times and missed it once. That's not a false prophet. They
yeah,
were actually people who had the agenda of
yeah.
prophesying lies to distract and deceive the people of God. So we have
Absolutely.
to really knowledge of the word is so important. And Joel,
Yeah.
we start talking, we could be on here for like 5 hours still
How long
going.
is your podcast usually? How
Well, this is going to
you
be
know?
an hour, and we'll probably have to do a part 2. We'll see what people say, but even from the hangout, people were saying we got to have a part 2. They were amazing. So I want to
That was a
thank
lot of
you.
fun. That was a lot of
It
fun, man.
was, and the
Yeah,
women were so blessed. I mean, a
good,
lot
man.
of
Good.
information.
That's good.
What I like is that you've always been able to give a practical word from spiritual principle. And
Okay.
I always tell people God is very practical, and we have to be able to see it from both lenses. So thank you so much.
Yeah. You know what? I have a saying that you might like. If it's not practical, it's probably not spiritual.
Explain now. You got to go over on now.
Well, Bible says walk in the spirit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, if I can't walk it out, it probably
Yeah,
is not spiritual. It's probably just theory or something. People have a lot of cute sayings that they say nowadays, especially with the way people are looking at the world and how they're trying to blend New Age thought with Christian
yeah,
thought. That was bad energy. That was, and and I'm like, hey, man, come on, that's not true. That doesn't
mm-hmm.
make sense. And so when something doesn't make sense, just call it out and say, man, how do you do that? How do you practice that? And
Mm-hmm.
people are seriously involved in flesh and blood warfare.
Yeah,
The haters this and the haters that. And I'm like, man, you guys are caught up with people who are not your friends.
yeah.
People around me believe in me. I don't know about all these haters. I don't talk to people who are haters. How do
And
you
these
get?
enemies, who are all these enemies? And
That's what
that's
I'm
the
saying.
other thing. It's like, who
Right?
are all these enemies? What do you have that they want? I mean, really, is it that deep?
Right. And it's just crazy. It's just flesh and
Yeah,
blood. It's the spiritualization of their flesh and blood warfare.
yeah, yeah.
All this. And so we just spiritualize stuff. The Lord gave me this one. The Lord and just deal with the fact that I think there's like about several million more women on earth than there are men.
Mm-hmm.
So what do those women do?
Yeah. It says in the last days there'll be 7 to 1.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody's not getting married. Nobody wants to hear that
What
either. But
happened?
that's
What
just the
happened?
practical truth.
Yeah. The devil is working polygamy into the culture.
Yeah. Let's share.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, side chick. I mean, I'll go to the airport in Africa someplace, and a guy is walking with 5 women, and I'm realizing those are all his wives. He doesn't have a traveling wife. He travels with all his wives.
Yeah.
And so that's happening in the States more than people realize. It's not legal, but emotionally, these guys are practicing polygamy, polymorph, whatever. There's a whole lot of stuff going on that's just crazy, So yeah.
Well, don't settle, ladies. I'm telling you that.
No, never settle. See, because there are advantages to being by yourself. See,
oh yeah.
People don't really talk about that. Is that there's advantages and there's things you give up being married, especially as women. Yeah. And they need to know. They need to know that, and that's a big deal. Most people don't think about that stuff till they're married. They want to be married so bad they don't think about some of that other stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But grow up, be mature, make good choices. If the man is chasing you, you want to work it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get it what he wants, but work it.
Yes.
And give him visions. Give him some hope about how it would be. Be hard to walk away from. Be hard to walk away from.
Then on what makes a man commit?
Is that he's, how can I say it? What makes a man commit is that he doesn't want to live without you, and you won't live with him without him making that choice of it's only you. So in other words, the power is in the sex, and it's not a matter of manipulation. But when a man wants you, and it's in our book, he wants you. Does he want someone or something? That's one of the chapters in our book. And if he wants you, that's your power, and you don't allow him to just continually drink from your beauty and all this stuff, and there's no vision. Like where are we going? We can take a drive out in the country without a destination, but I mean, how long is that going to last? At some point we want to stop.
When do you ask that question, Joel? When do you ask the "where are we going" question? Because I think that some women might jump the gun and ask it too soon, and some wait way too late. When is the right time to ask, "Where are we going with this"?
Well, if the first time you can ask it is when he wants sex.
Okay.
When he begins to put pressure on sex, say, okay, well,
what are your intentions?
You're asking from my heart. You're asking from my heart. You're asking me to risk being pregnant and all these things that you could just walk away from. So I need to know what's the vision here. Okay. And I'm attracted to you. I want to have sex with you. You don't know how bad I want to have sex with you. You have no idea where that's going to go. You will be happy, I guarantee you. But I can't do that till we're committed, till we're in marriage. And so I'm looking forward. I'm as impatient as you are. Come on, let's talk. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm working it. It's not that I'm some Christian prude, some uptight woman. It's no, hey, cuz, bring it. But I have too much at risk. I have a reputation. I'm actually serving my husband by saving myself. I'm saving myself for my husband. That's one of the gifts that I'm giving him. And I'm cute. I know a lot of guys are going to still be after me after I'm married. And so I'm practicing warring. I'm practicing warring for my marriage by saying no, and so it's not easy to say no. It's not some rule like that. It's my life, man. My life is on the line. I'm a woman. I can't sleep with you without giving you my heart. And so you're asking for a one night. You're not asking for no experience. You're asking for my heart, and I'm gonna have to have your heart to give you my heart. We're gonna have to be locked into this thing, and that's just how valuable that is to me. And so, and let the man know I like you. I'm vulnerable to you. That this is a hard thing you're asking, and so I'm because I value my future. This is what I'm saying. Where is this going? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But let him lead it. Now, when he starts asking for stuff, when he starts, can you cook for me? Do it a few times, and then say, now, this is what wives do.
Yes. Don't be a wife until you are a wife.
Yeah, exactly. This is what wives do. I just want you to know that. Just no pressure, but you pass by 20 restaurants on the way here. We can meet at a restaurant, and that that kind of thing. Washing clothes. This what mommies and wives do. This is you understand what I'm saying. And just keep it on his mind and let him know that there's a limit to this. I mean, if they let me try and just keep it till I'm tired of, I would never buy it.
Yeah.
Why would I? I'm okay, let me go try this one across the street. It looks like a nice car. But they force me to buy it, which eliminates the option of all the others.
Yeah.
See? And so men grow up when they have to. And and make him, if he walks away, put it on his mind. Say, you never had me. You're gonna wonder what that's like. That's gonna that's gonna haunt you the rest of your life. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
put it on his mind. See, because once he's had the sex, it's the urgency is over, and so the sincerity that was birthed out of something I wanted real bad, that's not there anymore. It may work. It may not. I know I sound like a old fuddy-duddy, but I'm telling you, God said that for a reason. He said it for a reason, because it forces a man to grow up. It forces a man to give up options and commit to something.
Yeah.
See, and that's the hard thing. And like I said, we men most of the time are optional thinkers, and so I'm not going to commit to something until I know that that's the best thing available.
Wow.
And you never know that as because you never. How you going to experience? How many people you got to live with? Because living with somebody takes its toll.
Yeah.
And so I lived with a couple people before I became a Christian, and it does not translate into marriage necessarily. Yep.
Wow. Well, this has been rich. I know I'm gonna have to reach out to have another conversation. And just in case you wondered, for those who came in the middle or didn't watch the whole thing, make sure that you get our book. We did write a book on this called What Women Don't Know and Men Don't Tell You. So that will explain all the other, but yeah.
There's a lot of this. Yeah.
Yep, and you can get it on Amazon or get it at your at any store. If they don't have it in stock, make them order it. It keeps us on the list, But it's amazing, Joel, because that book continues to sell. And we sold that. We did the book many years ago, and it still continues to sell. So it means that the information is still relevant. It's ageless because it's all spiritual principle. It's based in practical things that you can apply to your life. So thank you, Joel, for spending time with us.
I enjoyed it.
And I know that that they're really going to be blessed from this, and hopefully not just blessed, but transformed. That their minds have been changed, and they're making changes in the way they move and do relationships. That's what it's all about. Yeah,
I'm going to do another book on this subject, and so I'll give you a call, and maybe we can do another one and talk about it and go into some stuff. Okay. You're gonna love the name. I'm not gonna tell you. It's the best name ever for a woman's book.
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna call you.
Ever.
Text me now.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Yes.
God bless you.
You
Thank
too.
you. And thanks for introducing this new platform. I'm gonna try this stream now.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love it.